Hey, good afternoon, Wasim. Welcome to the
Hi,
ClarITea chat.
good afternoon, Jagdish. Thank you so much for calling me and
Hey,
giving me a opportunity to have another cup of tea and an additional one
yes. And I gather that you have been a tea entrepreneur, so we'll talk about it as well.
for sure.
Yeah, so welcome everyone to this edition of ClarITea chat. I have Mohammad Wasim with me. He's based at Delhi. He's a veteran at Publicis Sapient, where he has played roles from transformation consultant to IT leader to a PNL leader. He continues to be on the IT advisory board of Publicis Sapient. He comes from a traditional business family, but he couldn't establish his shirt rotten stuff as a brand as his first venture to great learning
Right.
customers the king. We'll hear it from his mouth. He also has been a tea entrepreneur, and I hope to hear that story too. So, in his IT avatar, he has fixed EPA BXs, managed Solaris, built offices, build teams, aspire to serve customers with internal capabilities, and much more. Most importantly, he has been able to change quite a few ways of working. We'll hear all of it from the horse's mouth. He has always kept his technology prowess relevant, and he has managed to energize himself by pushing himself to consult with clients. And he will talk about these transitions to more external facing roles and how to keep yourself relevant. So he's a believer of human potential. He invests time building leadership, mentoring people, and very importantly, women empowerment. He has very compelling growth stories. He's a student of culture and history, as he calls it. He's inspired by these to write and shape his own legacy. And he uses the learnings and stories of history to manage change and motivate teams. Yeah, now coming to some common stuff, we are both golf addicts, and for the golfers in our audience, I guess you guys can see that both of us are in golf uniform.
Yeah,
um, and yeah, I think the first time we connected really deeply and got to know our common interest was when we connected over a golf game in Bangalore. That was, I think, last 2019, if I'm correct.
19. Yeah,
Yeah. And one of the things we realize is that we both believe in creating trust and connect with the stakeholders to manage change. And we both love telling stories. So, welcome, Wasim, to this edition of ClarITea Chat.
thank you so
And
much, Jagdish.
yeah, and Wasim will come back to you, but very quickly, I'll give a quick recap of the purpose of ClarITea Chat for anyone who's first time on this. Okay. So, here's the ClarITea Chat, a discussion over a cup of tea on everything IT. Many of you would have seen this before, so I'll rush through it. Well, the purpose is that only 17% of technology investments deliver an expected ROI. And some of the reasons I could find was one is that IT management is very complex. It is at a crossroad of industry processes as well as technologies cutting across the organization processes. And whenever you do anything in technology, it has a huge people impact. So all of these increase the complexity. Now, IT is also a nascent management function. All the other functions date back to the industrial age and afterwards. But IT has really come out of the closet only in the last 30 years, and digital is something which is just nascent, about 10 to 15 years old. Now, what's the implication of this on our ability to manage success with technology? Is that there's not enough pedagogy or formal management science around IT and digital. Um, and what makes things worse is the high incremental margins in technology, which leads to intense sales and marketing. And when you juxtapose it against the asymmetry of talent, I've talked to multiple guests on the show, and they all kind of agree that 95% of the technology talent is on the supply side, which is system integrators and technology providers. And when you combine it with all the other factors, you kind of see the picture as to why uh, the success with technology is relatively elusive. So these are the factors coming together um, to create the complexity, not enough management science, intense marketing, and most of the talent being on the other side. And that's where clarity chat comes in, learning from the leaders. The science is not fully disseminated, so it's an art and which you learn from accomplished artists, the CIOs and thought leaders. And this is through discussions on leadership principles to achieve success, not just technology ROI, but also how to succeed as a leader. And these are format-wise informal chats over a cup of tea. So, with that purpose being shared, let's come back to Wasim. So, Wasim, welcome. Decoding the art of finding success with technologies is the purpose here. Now, you came from a business family and you have failed ventures to your credit,
Yep.
and of course, learnings. Now, you rose right from the bottom, a Solaris expert, troubleshooting EPA BXs, and now heading up PNL. Please share some of your growth stories with us, and please call out some key inflection points which changed you in irreversible ways.
Sure. I can for sure talk for like almost throughout the day, but you need to like keep me controlled. When I go on conversation on my team, I generally get a 2 minute window, which I take as five. So that's how I am. But before I go there, Jagdish, I definitely would want to like apologize for my all my cluttered background. This is my den. I love it, and I breathe better here. And as like somebody said, I think some शायर said that तुम्हें मेरा कमरा सजाने की तमन्ना है, मेरे कमरे में किताबों के सिवा कुछ भी नहीं, right? So I just want to start with that. Um and like the growth stories, I must say that uh, I have like two very uh, distinct, uh, or rather three distinct, I think, characteristics, if I can actually call, is that one is that I have lots of failures in my life, right? uh, but more than the failures, I have many leaders and mentors who actually made me sail through those points, and when I fail, I learn. And one of the leaders say to me is that if you fail to the point that you do not die, it's a learning, right? So that is where that is another big thing, right? And then after that, and people say that generally you remember all these bad things, but then you start thinking about out of these bad things how many good things are there. So people like you actually note that a lot. So I really appreciate that, because I generally focus get all the failures in my head, but you guys make me feel good, and make me feel better by calling those with kind words. And the thing with the third one was like putting lots of effort with lots of honesty, to be honest, right? That's where when you fail, you learn with honesty, right? And you put the same effort back in, because lots of time what happens is that if you do not put the effort back in, then you would actually come back 4 steps back, right? And and when you are in that frame of mind, and these are like for like athletes, like marathon runners. I've been a cyclist to be a and I used to do marathon cycle, and on track, the last two laps were the difficult, the most toughest. And if the guys, and 90% would not complete all the laps. Now, if you just continue to push hard, right, you will actually break the barrier of failure, and you get in the side of the success. And that happened. I did not win for two rounds, then third, fourth year, second, and first. So I think that honest to put that effort towards with honesty is very important. And when leaders trust you, they might not trust you the capability that you possess. They always trust you the energy and the eyes, that the honesty in your eyes, because that's what they see.
Yeah.
And that's how I have been able to, that I've been very lucky.
So talk about those. So why don't you talk about those two failed labs, the rotten stuff, and
Yeah.
your tea entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so I was growing with the poster of Top Gun in my room. Yeah, and and at that time, India was getting in the space of slang, where lots of swear words being used with young guys. We decided that my friend opened up a showroom for of Bombay Dyeing. We saw, like, people come walk in, buy and go, and why don't we do ourselves? We'll be like, we'll be actually rolling in something. And as young guys who always want to, like, get after the moolah, we got in. We created some. We manufactured, or rather stitched, I would say, not manufactured, like a few hundred shirts. We got them on the racks of my friend's window. Uh, they stayed there, and the packing lost its color, and we managed to sell, I think, 2% of what we produced. But later on, we did not give up. We went to the other part of the city, put it on the road, with a chadar on the road, and and sold it. And we got our money back. So yeah, I don't hesitate, like, I don't shy to save the embarrassment. So that was one. I did one that. So it when I say it's I take that tagged as not successful. It was basically the desire, the outcome that I would want to achieve. It did not come. Potentially, maybe the posture that at which I was looking was not correct. Lots of learning, right? Then this other one, um and I can host, like, anybody who's wished to basically walk and talk through the how the tea is made, what CTC stands for, cut, tear, and curl, right? And how it is basically put into different packings, and how what is the cost of it, each cut. I was in graduation. I wanted to do something. My father, my grandfather had trading business. Was not easy to get me into the space of tea. I used to, carry a sack loads of tea on the scooter, got the packing done, and then imagine a person thinking of selling a convent education, trying to sell to somebody who's on the road, who has not been educated. You can imagine, the conversation, the difficulties, right? इसको समझ क्यों नहीं आ रहा जब मैं बोलने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, ये चाय ज़्यादा अच्छी है, जिसमें वो कहता है मुझे रंग चाहिए, मैं तो कह रहा हूँ खुशबू दे रहा हूँ. So it was a tough conversation. We tried to lure them with lots of gift, though established some name in the local locality, but it did not scale up, right? Because I was catering caviar to be like to some different class of people. So that what happened. But yeah, that's what actually made me believe is that, the customer is the king. No matter where the customer is, who's the customer, he ultimately remains the king, whether the person buys caviar or person buys gudka. You're on mute, Jagdish.
Thanks, Wasim, for that. There were some dogs barking around, so I decided to go on mute.
Okay.
Um, Now, I think two good learnings from there. If you fail and don't die, then it's a learning.
Yep.
That's a very good one.
Yeah.
As long as you make the honest efforts, and I can see that that you learned a lot about customers with both your ventures. That
Yeah.
you may have some idea, but unless the customer approves that idea, it is not going to make you money. So you better be humble and learn what your
Yeah.
customers want, right? Now, you came from Lucknow, a land of tehzeeb, right? Pehle
Yeah.
aap.
That's right.
Now, and you came to Delhi, which is like, I mean, the only thing that I have always hesitated coming from Mumbai to Delhi is the aggressiveness and the
Yeah.
flamboyance of Delhi. So I can imagine that you had tough time adopting. So, but what, how did you adopt and what did you learn?
Oh yeah. I must. This is a good one because uh, coming from Lucknow, where you have lots of what you call say gates to move towards reaching out, right? Versus and it is basically in every aspect, right? If I love to cook and I can articulate um the nazakat of Lucknow food versus the aggressiveness of Delhi food. It's that is the difference, right? And when you whether and the masalas and the other aspects remain same. So the people who are learning in Lucknow, who are learning in Delhi, are both are learning the same from the same book, but the attitude towards is very different. The confidence is very different, and when you would want to like spend more time learning and sometimes you spend you basically have that less aggression in you and when I came to Delhi I was I felt timid at that time, to be honest. If I don't have to be, you know, I have to be honest with you. But yeah, I was timid. I was low. Whenever I was going, I found like somebody else was raising quicker hand, answering more questions. The presence was felt, and I was talking that to a friend, uncle, and he said like, मुझे लगता नहीं I can stay here because I would not be successful. I might go back. He said like, what happened? I told him this is I'm feeling. He's like um, जब कभी पानी में खड़े हो ना समुंदर में तो जब लहर आती है अगर तुम्हारा इफ यू स्टे देयर तुम लहर तुम्हारे में क्रॉस कर जाएगी. So he said like, stay there, hold up your fort, and if you keep on holding up your fort, you'll find your foot there, right? And then people will start respecting. It is not always the top of your voice, the confidence in your voice, but later on, the long run, the subject and substance matters. If you have some substance, you will be successful. If not today, tomorrow somebody will notice you. People are looking for that substance. So that's what happened. And that small nudge actually, gave me enough confidence to stand up and be there. Maybe not like as very loud, but yeah, I was able to communicate my point. Never used to like let go any point which was not covered. And then it made me move forward.
Oh, that's a powerful story. Just keep holding your fort, know your stuff, and
Yeah.
uh, and I think slowly you will gain the confidence and you will gain the uh, you know gain the presence to feel being there, right? So tell us more. Now coming to this whole growth story around starting from an EPABX engineer. So just give our audience some sense of after those failed businesses, how did you start in IT, and
Yeah.
and then how did you grow into what you are today?
Yeah. Uh, by the way, I think for the audience, I must tell them, like, I also hold a very strong fort where I am very less confident while playing with you, Jagdish. Yeah, because you are an excellent golfer. Your shots and your swing are such strong that it just basically fizzles me out, but I still holds up, hold up in front of you. Uh, so just to let you know, just in case next time we play, uh, yeah.
You
So
are competitive. You are competitive.
yeah. So I think coming back, my journey has been amazing. Uh, Amazing from the sense that you know I think I find myself very lucky. When I joined just before Sapient, I was a couple of years with the ICICI and with the zonal office, and the biggest learning that I got. See, technology is easy, and I always say that in past and even now, technology is easy. Is the attitude, is the opportunity, and how you basically honestly work towards making your opportunity realistic. My learnings started. I did not. I did not, understood things in the beginning, but later on, it is not reflecting in what I do. I I used to be part of the IT group, and if people know Mr. Kamath, was the person, Mr. Kamath, who used to lead ICICI Bank, and he was transforming it to ICICI Limited to ICICI uh, Digital Retail Bank, and I have been very lucky to get opportunity. When he used to come, I used to go and solve his problem or carry his laptop to his presentations in North and South Dock, right? And I used to do that, and my job was to put up the screen, get the laptop, get the slides in, get the projector in, and the next one was very attentively, like a soldier. I used to just watch him. As soon as he says, he nods, I used to put the next slides in. Right at that time, he was talking about strategy, and what strategy he used to talk about when he was talking to MBA graduates, whether the politicians and bureaucrats. I used to just listen, right? Listen, because I have to be very attentive to the person, because we have to make sure the slide changes. But those things were getting in me and that was basically creating a bigger canvas of thinking in my head. That did not come realize at that time, but when I came and joined Sapien, an American firm, very open as a culture, um, from a company where it was very hierarchical, right? I was privileged to meet and go and serve Mr. Kamath from his IT needs. Nobody else was allowed, right? But now I come here and the CEO stands in front and kneels down to get his laptop fixed. That was the world that I changed into. And 6 months joining Sapient, I was looking for a job. And what kind of a company is this where CEO basically, kneels down and see what is happening to his laptop? And he's asking me to, order food. And I ordered food. He said, "Where is your food?" But that is what basically shook me so big time. I said, like, "No sir, I have to call his name." So that was a tough 6 months, but and I was doing my job. And in this such environment, right, you are always full of fear that you might not do the right thing. You patch somebody else to an EPPX, and you are trying to solve somebody's laptop problem that doesn't get solved. What will happen, right? And we were actually trying to get used to the American accent at that time. So as I said, technology was easy, binary, black and white, yes and no, and so that started happening. But everybody was building so much of confidence in me. People used to do not listen to me when I used to say sir to them. They said, "Call me by my name. Who's sir here?" Right? I said, "What the hell is happening?" Right? You are getting inside the meeting, and everybody takes a step. A next step when the meeting closure, the leader takes that I am going to clean the room when the meeting is over. Right? Never heard of, right? So never heard of. So now I get into that culture now, and that's where I guess the aspect of leadership started getting infused in me. They were putting that qualities in me, so that it basically ruptures and creates a leader later on. He should actually emit all these things, right? And I'll tell you one. We built this office in Gurgaon on sector 14. We moved from Jhandewala, and everything was set. We were supposed to go there and cut over and move people, and they scheduled it on Christmas week. I said, for us, like, yeah, Christmas or Eid or Diwali, we will work, right? And then I find, like, we generally send out of office messages that we will be out for this and this date. So we got like one guy, the MD said we are going out. Then another IT, my IT manager said, my his senior manager said that we are going out in this week. I said, if you guys are going out, who's going to do the cutover? They said, like, you guys are going to do the cutover. I said, like, what? Because we are the right at the scratch and the bottom of the pyramid. I said, why? How can we do it? We would not be able to do it. You are going, you are the Lord, you are going to tell us. He said, no, no, we know you can do it. You figure out how you're going to do it, but we have confidence in you to do it. Right? And we did it. We slept in office, we did it, but imagine the amount of trust people built in you once they see that you are good and you are capable. And then you can 400 people we moved over that Christmas week, and that was amazing. Right, when we started, say, so some one leader comes, Wasim, we should hire more people like you. I said, okay. Then what is the job description? Like you. What is the job description? Give me a paper. Then, like you write it yourself, right? I said, what? I would have to write something. ये तो किसी बड़े आदमी का काम होता है, kind of thing. I said, okay, I'll write it, and I wrote something which is very, very crude, but I wrote it. That was the gist, and then others basically add the right vocabulary to it and made it clear. And then I was interviewing, and I was interviewing. I was rejected, and then this person from hiring, I got upset with me. I rejected four of them. Yeah, and he rejected. And then I said, okay, I'll clear the next one. Then this gentleman who gave me this responsibility walks by. Hey, Wasim, what's happening? Where is my person? I said, like, yeah, I'll close the next one. He said, what? Why are you saying this? I said, no, no, she got four. I rejected four. She got upset. I said, it's okay, okay, that's fine. He just went away. So on that floor, the pantry was right across the other floor. In between, there was hiring area. So this gentleman leader is coming from the pantry. I was going towards the pantry. We were crossing each other next to the hiring area. He said, Wasim, wait. He called that person from hiring. He asked, what is your job? To line up candidates. Wasim, what is your job? To find the right candidates. You guys continue to do your job till the time you have find the right candidate. So he made sure that he sends the message to both of us. Make sure you stick to your job. Was you will not clear exam person who, by lowering the bar, the other guys will not complain by saying that बहुत हमने कर दिया, बहुत मेहनत कर दी. So that is what builds people's confidence. That what basically puts seed in you, so that when you are in that position, you are building a team of confidence, right? And now I basically narrate the story of King Arthur and his knights. If you read that book, there are 11 people. They're gonna be heavy on big armies because everybody knows to do what and when. So those are stories I tell to
Oh
my
no.
people, my kid a lot.
No, I think really really powerful stories, right? I mean, for example, Arun was on the show last week, and he mentioned that some of his deep learnings came from similar thing that chairman would ask him to attend the board meetings, and he would just be there, fly on the wall, and then he kind of just learned and absorbed the strategy. And I didn't know that you had the same experience. It's like, am I attracted to the guys who have been attending board meetings early on? Well, but I think some good takeaways here. A great culture is something which makes you empowered, and
Yeah,
it gets carried forward. I mean, so today I think what you are as a manager, as a leader, you have a lot of that style that got incorporated, that was passed on to you in terms of how your
yeah,
leaders behaved with you, is how you are behaving with your teams now. And
and
I had a similar incident where this was really funny. I was an intern, and I was supposed to go to the field. This is like the time when I was an excavator engineer, and I was supposed to go to the field to learn alongside a experienced service engineer.
yeah,
Now, guess what? the entire office, about 15 people were on a Microsoft Office training. Okay. And I was like nervous. I said, boss, what do I? He said, you go alone. Okay. Here is the key to the bike, which is in the field. Uh, there is a room blocked for our people in this particular hotel. Okay. And you go, and this is the list of customers that you have to visit, like, every day,
Yeah.
this thing. And I said, but I don't know. Like, come on, go, break a machine down, let it burn. Don't worry. Okay, I'll manage the shit for you. And
Yeah.
that was like such a confidence booster. And I'm kind of just reflecting on the same story that afterwards, all my life, I have given the same confidence to each of my subordinates. Go
Yeah.
do your job. If there's a mess up, I'll handle it. It's just that one incident that made me do that lifelong. Sorry, you were saying something, Vasim.
No, no, I think I was just like, same what you said is like the way you basically get the confidence. My manager, the first manager that at Sapient was Chuck Hong. Huge. He's a peer kind of a guy in corporate world, and he groomed me so that I can meet and reach the level at which I wish and desire, right? But he did not say that he has to reach there before, because he said that, I do not want to be there, but I will make sure that I will enable you to go there, but I might not be there, right? So, and he said, like, my happiness would be is that when my enablement make you reach there, I might not be there. So I do that a lot whenever somebody says, sir, आप खुश हो जाओगे ना ये काम करने, लाइक मैं खुश तब होऊंगा जब तुम वहां पे होगे मुझसे थोड़े आगे. So that's what I think that's how the world should move forward, right? Because we would be able to bring a particular to a particular point, and then the next strength have to be taken forward, right? And at this, like this morning, I exchanged my clubs with my son. I recently bought a steel one for people who don't know. Like the steel clubs are heavier, but better clubs, and my son was using the graphite ones. He's an excellent. He's young, he's excellent, he's flexible. So I exchanged. I said, like, this will be better on you than me, right? And that's exactly what happens, right? He picks up a five and he drives the 5 iron like my driver. So, so we have to make sure that when we are talking about enablement, it's not about the gyan that we are giving it. We have to make sure that the armor and ammunition have to be given for them for the new world. तलवार देने से कुछ नहीं होगा. Automatic
No,
machine
no,
guns.
absolutely, absolutely. And I have a phrase for it. I call it paying forward. So the mentors that we get, they never want it back from you, right? You can't pay them back the favor because they have already been there. That's how they are your mentors.
Correct.
So I think the best way to pay a tribute to them is to pay forward. That means build a few more leaders, and
Yeah.
whatever favor they did to you, you do the same. Mentoring and bestow the same wisdom to the next generation. Hey, really interesting, and I again say, Wasim, like golf, there are many other things that connect us. So coming
Yeah.
back, to my next question, your transformation from a IT expert to a transformation leader, how you basically looked at building a capability internally and then taking it outside. So take us through some of that journey, because
Yeah.
one of the things I'm the reason I'm asking you that question is that many a times as IT guys, we tend to be very internally facing, okay, and we are somehow, we think that adding value to the customer, or delivering to the customer is somebody else's job. My job
Yeah.
is to like enable them. Of course, you had the opportunity to be in a technology company where what technology you were doing internally, you could give it to others. But I guess it's easier said than done. So tell us the harder part of it.
I think it- it's not hard, Jagdish. To be honest, uh, it is just it's just the dream, and sometimes how desperately you want it is like, I'll tell you one very interesting example. I never used to be a database administrator, right? Solaris administrator, EPBX administrator, Exchange admin. I can do all, right? Then I come to Sapient after spending some time, and then there is this group called Elite Group, called Advanced Technology Team. You know what? What? How I felt in, I want to be part of that group because they used to get laptops. This is like 18 years back. They used to get laptop. If you're part of that group, you'll be getting laptop, otherwise desktops. So I have to go out and like learn database administration, prove myself that I can do database administration. So I want laptop now. So that is what I want, and I will work for it. I will beg, borrow, learn, but I will learn, right? So that is, I think, and then I think when you are young, you really want to like really do that, and I still try to be. I have that spirit, young in the heart. I said like, ये मुझसे हर चीज़ मेरे से पहले पूछो, मुझे आनी चाहिए सबसे पहले, right? I still have that nag in my head. uh, though it might not be very, I just now use different set of vocabulary, otherwise I was very raw. uh, so when I was doing this the administration, and then the project happens. There is a bank project that we were doing for Texas department. We were doing for Lloyd's Bank, right? And then I said like, I'm so good, I do this work so well. There are a couple of guys doing this so well. Why are we not selling this as a service? We should sell this as a service. System administration should be sold as a service to our clients because we are good and we'll create lots of values. And these are the 10, 20 things. So I went to one of the, as I said, like it's very open culture. And I think my fear to talking to the executives actually, went away while working with Mr. Kamath, right? So I don't hesitate to talk to him when people used to fear facing him, and then his team, right? Mr. Sandeep Malhotra, all the guys whom like Mr. Bujani, Lalita Gupta. So I used to like interact with them. So talking to an executive was not a tough time for me because I have talked to like very senior politicians as well. So this gentleman comes, and we do not have like rooms for people to sit as executive VPs. There's a vacant desk. The guy will come and occupy it and work from there. I went there, so he called me. For once, that was him. This is a problem on this account. Can you solve it? I solved it, and then and he said, I promise you a dinner. I said, okay, that's fine. I'll come and solve it. I solved it. Technology easy, right? Technology is easy always. Uh, then I said, like, I'm so good. Like, fewer more guys so good. We should sell this as a service. So, and I blabbered like for almost 10 minutes on with him. He said, like, every alternate month, I have to call you and give you a dinner bribe to to fix a problem, right? Go and first get your house in order, and then we should talk about something else, right? And then I promise you, his name is Dr. Christian Oversoul, very uh, humble guy. He still meets, we still meet, like we still talk about old things. So my job was to like what find, set up this thing, and now he said get the house in order. Now imagine a guy who is young, उसको घर ठीक रखना कहाँ आता है? राइट? जब घर पे थे तो माँ करती थी या घर वाले ही करते थे। जब बैचलर में आके रहे तो घर ऐसे ही रहता था। हाउस इन ऑर्डर का मतलब क्या होता था? व्हेन सो वी स्टार्टेड टॉकिंग कि हाउस इन ऑर्डर का मतलब क्या होता है? So then we said like कहाँ कहाँ प्रॉब्लम आती क्यों आती है प्रॉब्लम क्यों हो रही है. So we found out we just say इतनी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं ये तो सही बोल रहा है तो वी हैव टू लाइक सॉल्व कैसे करें. अब लड़के चार एक अनार सौ बीमार टाइप वाली बात. तो इट्स लाइक लोग बढ़ाने. So when we got the people in, then we got capability in, we wrote job description by the way, right? We got new, we were rolling out new thing, right? We have to write job description, we have to write competency, how a person will get promoted, he hired. तनख्वाह तो हमारे हम नहीं देखते थे, हम छोटे थे बहुत. उस वक्त किसी का तनख्वाह हम नहीं देखते थे. So, so after like almost a year, we got that thing done. I got some breather, and I never took the dinner, by the way. All the bribes that he said, like I never got the dinner because in the lieu of dinner, I used to like get a meeting for him from him. So I'm still a businessman, huh, by the way. So uh, then I went to him. It was London. I remember we were actually at Canary Wharf office. I went and I showed a deck, and the deck story is a long story. I showed him, at less than 10, 7, 15 slide decks, which when got made was around 83, right? So it took time for chisel it out, and for a technologist, the technologist, it is very difficult to chisel things out because they don't understand what chiseling and polishing means, right? All of us, by the way. And letting go anything from us is more difficult, right? So I went to him, walked him through. There was another gentleman by the name Gurmeet Singh, and he said, "Yeah, Wasim, here's your money that you're asking for, right? And but I'll review your budget." I said, like, "Yeah, review the budget. मुझे तो सब कुछ मालूम है, मैंने लिखा है, एक एक पाई मैंने जोड़ी है." So whatever I asked, right? I asked, he gave one third of it, right? And he never said I'm reducing one third. He said, "Wasim, let's sit." He said, and he basically walked me through. Like for example, I said like I will travel extensively, and I will travel every month. कहता Wasim, is that practical? So he got travel reduced. कहता extend your travel for longer duration, but do lesser travel. So we got those things sorted out, and he gave me one third, and I was on like seventh heaven. So I was driving by. We were so at Canary Wharf station. I was very happy, jovial. People could see happiness on my face. And then Mr. Gurmeet Singh said, "Why do you think you got the money?" So I said, like, "Wow, what do you mean by that?" I answered all his question. Whatever he was asking, I was asking. I was answering him. It was like I wanted to say यार उसके एक एक सवाल मेरे दो दो जवाब. मैंने अंदाज अपना अपना वाला टाइप नहीं. उसके एक एक जवाब सवाल मेरे दो दो जवाब टाइप्स. So I was in that state of mind. So he said, "Acha." So Wasim, that guy started his career as a as a model, right? Fashion model. Then he made a company and he sold. He knows only business. उसको टेक्नोलॉजी क्या वाला इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का सर्वर के अलावा उसको कुछ नहीं मालूम होगा. तो कह रहा यार मैंने ऐसे लाइक नो नो यू आर एक्चुअली जोकिंग. He said no no I'll tell you why he has given it. He said like it is about your diligence, persistent after his life, and always making sure that what he's asking you are actually answering it, and coming back to him even if you are wrong, right? He saw that honesty in you, and he saw that you are so passionate to make it happen. That's the reason he gave you the money, right? I said like no, this money will go up, like it can basically damage the budget. He's like that amount is negligible for him, right? He can spend that amount in like five dinners with times. So it's like I said, then then I realized, then I started replaying. Right? Does this guy really understands the technology thing that I was trying to say? Then I realized that yes, this guy, you know, did not put a bet on by looking at the DNA structure of the horse, but how he runs today.
No, absolutely, absolutely. I think a couple of takeaways for me as well as for our audience is one is this whole thing, how desperately you want it. So again, last week when Arun was here, he was talking very passionately about, like he used to go to this customer's office as a hardware engineer. And there would be these EDP guys sitting in an AC room, and he was like, I want to be an EDP manager. Yeah, so reminded me of that story when you said, I wanted that laptop. So, if it
Yes,
means I have to learn the DB administration, I will do that.
will
So I
I
think
will
that is, yeah, sorry.
no, no, I said I will learn it, right? The journey
Yeah,
of 83 slides to 15 slide is, reskinning myself, 20 times. You can
yeah, yeah,
imagine the pain, right?
yeah. So yeah, it is like, how desperately you want it. Then, coming to, I think you said a couple of times that, we are so good, we are so good. Why don't we convert it into a service? And, then being shown a mirror that, what, put your house in order. And I think the very important thing there is that, don't define how good you are. It's, your stakeholders, it's people around who are watching you. Go and ask them, take feedback, and calibrate with their eyes whether you are that good, right? And I
Right.
think then, this last one is a very, very deep one, that uh, people are not approving what you are presenting to them based on the quality and the technical excellence of that plan. I think they are looking at your intent, they're looking at the honesty, they're looking at the passion, and they're looking at, I think, that one single thing: will you be able to execute? Do you have it in you to execute? And I remember, once I went to my MD, and I wanted to do like a technology which I was like very sure that this is something we can pull it off, against something which was like, 70% as expensive. So this was, you can understand, like, 40-50% more expensive. And I went and I pitched to him, and he did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
He said, Jagdish, you know, I don't want to become a reason of your failure. Okay. So what you feel will succeed, go and do that, and I'll hold you accountable. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, that's what I want. But very, very, I think, good stories there.
But
So,
leaders also, Jagdish, just one. I think leaders also play a lot because this is like success I'm talking about more. But leaders play a huge amount of role when you are actually going through the situation where that has not turned out the way you wanted, right, or the world wanted, right? I remember, right, there was one project that happened, and and that project was supposed to go live, and we are missing on the dates too, and I was unable to install a server, right? And I was in the server room, people were seeing me, I was in, like, 15 degrees less in the server room, always trying to figure out it's not working, right? And I was going, and every day, twice a day, I was getting on a call to give the update to the clients, but ultimately it happened. But two things, the leaders that I reflect on that did for me is that they kept me, not lose hope, right? You know what, they came and said, like, a couple of leaders is saying, Wasim, I have a suggestion, we can solve this problem, it will work like a charm. It's like, what? Right? He said, like, we should all get naked and dance outside, like, around the server, and it will work, right? And I'm telling you, this is fact. This is fact, and this leader is telling me, like, and he was pepping me up because I was not able to do the job. Then that was one part, so I got some excitement, and then going out and telling every day for like 2 days, I've been telling, we have not progressed. First day, second day, third day, I think twice it happened. Third call, client got bit angry, which was fair for the client to get angry. But as soon as they saw this happening, they came in front of me as a shield, right? And they said, like, he's doing his job. From next call, they will give an update. I will not give update, right? Because they said, like, we are taking his time because he's coming here and giving update. So that they were not trying to get me away from the call, but they were trying to, protect me from going in a vicious circle of not solving the problem. So that's how all leaders come at Sapien, at least that they, when we on the people on the ground who are working, they come as a shield in front of you when things are really tough. They will take all the beating, they will take all the tough. Whenever you are in a tough waters, rough waters, the place where your boat hit most is the front waves. They stand there so that they can save the crew. They can save the crew so that they can pedal.
No, I think this is very insightful. And that's how leaders everywhere should behave. Though they kind of tend to pass on the pressure. I think a true leader, the different one difference between we always hear this differences between leaders and managers, and one of the differences is that a manager passes on the pressure, a leader takes it on himself
Mhm.
or herself. So, Wasim, before I go to the next question, here is uh, a question from Amarinder. He says, "What's your reading of the younger workforce on their capabilities, aspirations, and culture fitment? How would the IT team composition and dynamics change in the post-COVID hybrid model?"
Okay. See, I think the young talent that is coming in, they are like quite ahead if I really look at it, the way I see it, right? If I look at myself versus what they are pretty. We used to get familiarized with IT and then get into IT. They are born in this digital world. Now, I see a good part is that they have other avenues to spend time. So they are actually demanding a time for themselves, which is fair. Because I remember I was in London and at Cable and Wireless office, and we were doing this release, and this gentleman who says, "I have a piano class." I said, what piano class? There is a release pending here. No, no, no. I have this hobby. I have this class. I said, what? No, that's they have to go. So I think the new world is actually getting into. They are asking for that time, which is fair. Uh, Plus, they are very proficient also. Now, what they would need is, because they are proficient, they are equipped, they are knowledgeable, they have confidence. We need right amount of guidance and enablement to move forward. To make them move forward, to be more fruitful, we might not be as momentous as they are, right? They will move very quickly, right? You have to really understand whether you would want to, be the captain for long, or you want to give the baton to them to lead on. But how do you train them? I'll tell you one a very good example, right? There's a this afternoon we were talking to, like, around 1,000 people across India, the young generation coming out of college. So somebody was asking me a question on cloud. I said, how do you understand cloud, right? And he said, like, cloud is what, पहले servers थे, अब managed somewhere कहीं पे virtual हो रहा है. And then let me give you a different posture, right? The posture is that the cloud is going to fundamentally change the world that we operate. It will be like electricity. You would not know what is running at the back, but when you switch on when a plug, the light will illuminate. That is the power of cloud, right? And you should actually look at, see the different posture. You should be always the janitor who says that we are going to take a person to the moon, right? Not writing 10 scripts. So if we start indulging them into such posture conversation, I was lucky. I used to get Mr. Kamath to broaden my view. If we can actually get these people, then they would actually create much larger and bigger canvases for themselves. Just 1 second, something has fallen.
I think it's very windy there.
Yeah, because there's a storm coming in.
Oh,
We should,
okay, okay.
we should be good now. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was telling them, and then I gave another example from the movie. So I said, have you seen Once Upon a Time in Mumbai? He said, no. I said, like, you should definitely go and take this as a learning thing movie. Go watch that movie and see where Ajay Devgan is buying Peru to and then and see what he's doing, and then come and talk to me on LinkedIn. Right? How does he changes the posture of buying a Peru of 25 paisa at 500 rupees? right? So it is only how you basically shift the posture, and all of a sudden you'll start seeing things much more clearer, much more bigger. Because I think the talent, when you have talent and when you get the perspective with the talent, I think the outcomes are great.
Yeah, yeah. And
And in,
how would I, and his next question was, how would the IT team's composition and dynamics change in the post-COVID hybrid model of, and I think he's talking about IT teams.
see, I'll tell you, like IT teams, the post COVID, uh, IT teams' job descriptions are changing. When I say changing, they're collapsing into fewer job descriptions, right? And because COVID, there has been the adoption of cloud and cloud-like services and managed services actually have been put on steroids, right? And because of which, what will happen is that, when you start getting into these much more modern technologies, right, the isolation of the old technologies would actually go away. It will merge into one, and then so is the job description and resumes, right? Like for example, like 20 years back, there used to be a database administrator, storage administrators, exchange administrator, and then systems administrator. There were so many administrators. Now it is only what software defined infrastructure administrator, and this is also heading towards, you know, it's actually
Scripts.
heading towards something which doesn't exist, because it is software defined. The engineers would write code for a retail platform, and the retail platform would have a software defined infrastructure embedded in it. So it is heading towards irrelevance. So the IT team have to make sure they are actually looking bit far, so that they know when this irrelevance is going to kick in, and before that they should actually, reskill themselves.
No,
And
absolutely,
COVID
absolutely.
have actually, put this on steroids. This is going to go. It's going much faster.
Yeah, yeah. I think in my personal view, I think this was like earlier infrastructure. IT used to be only infrastructure, like enable people to do some automation. Then it was slowly moved towards application, and now it's moving towards more like creating value and developing those software products. So what is happening is that this automation is flowing from the infrastructure side, from the cloud, and then from and cloud, and it's moving towards the SaaS, software as a service, and then then you have these low code stuff coming in. So
Yeah,
it's getting more and more consumerized, and therefore, like, I think the IT needs to shift towards more driving value, right, in terms
yeah,
of connecting with the enterprise sources of value, trying to create new options, and technologies, and creating those future capabilities. And I think therefore, as we can see that these infrastructure roles are diminishing, but you have like product management roles, like your agile DevOps type of roles,
yeah.
so those are the kind of roles, I mean, especially the product manager, I think that's a quite popular role nowadays. Anyway, so coming back, we are just,
Just
yeah,
one
sorry.
question. One addition to that. I think, see, the definition through which we actually got developed, like we grew, like IT is what, a diligent device that never makes mistakes, right? And that's why it was put at the back. Now that device has moved to board. It is basically is the reason for existence of a company, right? And it is challenging and eating up lunches for all the companies that have been there for hundreds of years, right? So it has to reach to the point. So when we talk about the entire technology and digital landscape, it has to be relevant to the business, to make sure that business is relevant for future. Because
Absolutely.
me is no more blood and flesh. I am a digital profile now.
Correct, correct. No, absolutely. Now, I think, Wasim, there's a question from Imran, but I want to ask my question, which should have some answers here. And this is something that I think you are very passionate about, which is being a student of history and culture, and and how do you drive inspiration from this in terms of organization change? So some time back, Vijay Ramchandran was, on the on this chat, and one of the things he said, and he said very strongly with a lot of conviction, is that the job of IT is the mandate to make change happen. Okay, so that's one thing you should seek from your top manager. When I was talking to you, it's like, how does change happen? How do you create that, you know, those catalysts for change? Because technology is just the enabler. It's necessary but not sufficient, right? So tell us, connect your study of history to how organization change happens, and how have you used it?
See, I think in the history there is always, like, some tipping points, right, that make big change happen. And I think for our tipping point in our world is digital transformation, right? And if the way people say the urgency is that, or the urgency is such a big one that, you know from getting a wheel to cart to cycle to car to taxis and rental taxis, it was like thousands of years, right? That entire thing got replaced by a small Uber coming into play for last 15 years, which is much bigger, right? So as I said, when I say I'm not a flesh and blood anymore, I'm a digital profile that have a persona of different kinds, right? If an organization have to be relevant, then those organizations should meet me digitally to my different personas in the right moment and the right sentiments. Can you do that physically? I don't think you can do it, right? Because now my day is like almost throughout the day, like my 5 to evening to midnight, I'm available. But you need to meet me in the right moment and right mood. When I'm a party animal, meet me in the party animal mood, I'll buy your stuff, right? So it is, I think, it is coming to be enabler to an imperative aspect now moving forward, right? And somebody was saying that, if you drop up, a drop of water in a room, right, till one third or one third or one fourth, it will take almost few years. But after that, it will take few minutes to fill up the room, right? Because it is an exponential thing. When we have also touched that story about that one rice on a chessboard, right? So that is where I think what we actually have to really think is that today, if there is a has to be a relevance can be only driven in the virtual world, right? And that virtual world have to be handled and consumed. Now that transformation, what as Mr. Imran is asking is that, what are the blocks? It is only the mental blocks that actually holds people from transformation, nothing else, right? If I continue to hold my fort the way I am today, I want to hold everything as my close to my chest, then it is will be very tough for me to move a company forward, because I am into an instant gratification mode when I'm a customer. If company is not answering my instant gratification need, and do not want that company to work with me. So company have to make sure that I have to get, so books are going away, Kindle is coming in, because I do my buy like this, right? I do my buy like this. So it is the mental block, and now I'll talk about what is mental block, right? So we were consulting to an organization with a steel thread strategy about adopting to cloud. When we were saying cloud, we said everybody wants to do cloud. Billions dollars like kept aside to go onto cloud. Every department started doing their own cloud strategy, right? The network guy, they are doing, I would do this network strategy, then the storage guy say I would do this cloud strategy, right? And it's like, and then we figure out, like, everybody have, like, there are 20 strategies, because there are 20 departments there. Now how do you handle that? right? It's very difficult. Everybody is have a very valid reason, fighting tooth and nail for their strategy. But then somebody have to come and say, by the way, there has to be one strategy. All of you guys collapse into one, right? Because in the new world, there is no more data centers, right? In the new world, there is no more data centers. There is only an application that is actually also a micro application. So it is the understand. So there are two blocks. One is mental block, where people want to hold their fort till the whatever time they want, and they are actually pushed back in the game. And uh, then there is an understanding of IT guys where they say, and this is I've seen, and I'm sorry I've been rude, is that they really love their own server room and data centers and massive infrastructure, right? Uh, and they said, this is the den. Everybody has to come here and bow, right? And they are not at that time. So everybody is coming and learning from them, but they are not learning business. And if they are not learning business, how come you are going to be from enabler to imperative differentiator of the company,
Yeah.
right? So that is, I think, a long answer, but yeah. So those are the things that we run into this issue a lot, and
Yeah.
the challenge that is that we as leaders have to invest in our people a lot. The way we invest in technology capabilities, we have to invest in their business capabilities also. What is the value that will create, or what a business company will get when you roll out a particular digital asset?
Absolutely. And I'm just trying to sort of make a little bit different meaning out of what you just mentioned about the whole instant gratification world, and like meet me digitally and all that. The fundamental change that you see between the old way of thinking and the new way of thinking. The old way of thinking was very product centric, right? I have this product, take it, right? And I'll build all kinds of features in it. I think the new world is much more experience centric. So the whole digital bridge that you build between a customer and your product, I would define that as an experience, right? Typically delivered through apps or whatever. But that's the experience piece. And I think I see when I talk to people, I see the biggest mental block is the thinking about the user experience. I mean,
Mm.
it is not just the app. Like for example, you do something, email gets sent out. What kind of email it is, how does it address somebody? Does it say dear customer or does it say dear Wasim? These are very small things, but all of these kind of aid together into an experience.
That's
And I
true.
think the second thing that you said in terms of the people and the mindset, I would like kind of again collectively call that as culture. Like if you see the difference between the startups which are getting into brick and mortar businesses, right? For example, even let's say for example Oyo, right? And the traditional businesses in the same industry. I think again the big difference would be the culture, how they treat their people, right? How they enable and empower their people. Whereas it will be like more of a command and control and that industrial age kind of management style or culture in the other words. Hey, but great insights, Wasim, and thank you for answering all these questions. Now, just last question, golf.
Oh,
What
and
I
you're
mean,
already on
what,
time over. Oh my God. You are a
yeah.
good host. I must say that, Jagdish. I must say that you're a good host. You keep your guest and I think audience very engaged, off the
No,
field
no,
and also right on the
come
field
on,
too.
Wasim. You have been doing most of the talking, and you are accusing me. I think my guests are generally, I mean, they have some really compelling stories, and that's what keeps everybody hooked. So yeah, what about golf? I mean, what keeps you hooked to the golf? What are some of those learnings you get from golf?
Oh my God. Okay. Golf. So first of all, my entire teens, I have played marbles on greens, right? Um, because in my school field there used to be a golf course, and I said, "What kind of game is this? You walk, you hit, you walk, you hit, you walk." And by the way, that understanding remains same with lots of people in my team. And whenever we are actually doing this town hall, this is like, this is how I get. I am embarrassed by all my fellow colleagues that he plays a game that doesn't qualify as sports. So that's how this introduced me. So it's one person holding up the fort for golf, but I think it's an amazing game. My journey started few years back, as what as a place, as a game that basically executive play. And I went to my COO and said, like, and this is like, I'm talking about Cambridge. I said, like, I want to buy a golf kit, and I've got a budget of $300. So he thought for 30 seconds, and then he said, "You know what? If you have that budget, I would not encourage you to get in this game." So I said, "Look, what happened? What did I say?" And the other one once we actually pitched in for a golfing customer, right? They said like, "Oh, you guys in India, nobody plays in golf in India. So how come you can code this, right?" Which was interesting. And then we did like European tour app for us. So I think one of the thing that golf teaches you is basically it it breaks your ego down. It breaks
Absolutely.
your ego down so big time that and in golf, lots of people who may not know, you play against the nature. Yeah, you're playing against a golf course, and a golf course would every golf course would have a definition of difficulty, and which is measured in numbers. And if you are better than the golf course, you will score less, and if you are worse than golf course, you will score more. And golf course would have its own contouring and meandering and hazards, right? And you have to hit a ball wherever it falls, right? And it's very different from what you practice, because when you practice, it is just one square, stable, nothing changes. But when ball hits, it falls like next to a tree, right? Most of the people, and you can make out from a golfer who's recently joined in, is that the person will also like try to hit as if he was going to hit far from that place. So you have to make sure that you close down your ego, take a tap out, lose a point, and then hit again, right? And it gives you like, the other part is that, how you collaborate with a set of equipments of different kinds to fight. So your ammunition and armor is your golf kit, whereas golf course ammunition and armor is the wind, is the lake, is the trees. So you are you are fighting to win each other, right? And that's where it's basically, it asks persistence, right? Any golf tournament is always for 4 days, right? So, and the last score they score some cumulative is the winner. And it doesn't matter how good you are playing on first 2 days. What matters is how we have scored on the last cumulative last day. So it's not that, you have played two good shots, you'll win, right? I've seen, and my experiences also is that, um, it is, if somebody is hitting good, it's good, right? It's also boxing, right? Let the other guy hit all the good shots earlier, get tired to make mistakes later on. And sometimes you win by not playing good, but by somebody else is not playing better.
Yeah.
So you have to make too much of patience, right? 19 Masters, Maloney and Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods won because somebody else made a mistake, one mistake, only 1 point mistake. So
That's
that's
right.
what it says that. Yep, that's what it says that. And by the way, it is so addictive. I'm spending time, my bandwidth on internet, money just on golf. I'm more punctual, more disciplined. It gets you disciplined also. Very disciplined. If you're not there, you would not be there. But there's a book that has been written by Hogan, and the foreword of the book is done by a sports illustrator editor. What he defines golf is, and I hope everybody is an adult on this session. Uh, uh, Golf is a mistress that sometimes loves you it all the time loves you so much that sometimes distresses you so much that you throw your kit in the water, but then when it starts loving you back, you buy another kit and come back to play.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, but I would agree with you, Wasim, that it's a. Yeah, I think it's addictive because it's humbling. Okay, and you want to go back and again, like conquer it. It's like Alexander went out and he lost, but he again wanted to go back and conquer lands. But it's a very very humbling game. I remember the same course that we played in Bangalore. I took one of my champion golfer friends from Pune there, and if you remember the hole number two, it
Yeah,
was it's that 200 and some 80 yards, and that's how much he drives. Okay, and I said, listen, you know what? Just bow down to the course. Okay, hit a whatever pitching wedge and another pitching wedge, go to the green. Like
yeah,
no, because he took out his 3 wood and lost one ball. He took out
yeah,
his 3 wood again, lost one ball, and finally he said, Jagdish, you were right. I should respect the course. And yeah, it's a game that teaches you respect and humility. Hey, but great conversation, Wasim. We are like way beyond time, and lots of good learnings. I see that a good appreciation of how what are the different things that you've done. Being rigorous and getting mentored well, and then now mentoring people with this and carrying forward the same culture. That paying forward.
yeah.
Uh, Learning from your failures. So many takeaways. I generally, to everybody out there who's watching this, we do a small summary of it, about a 2-3 page summary of the chat with certain timestamps as to what was spoken where. So you're welcome to read it. It generally takes about a day or two to upload it, so we'll do that. And Wasim, thank you so much for coming on this chat and giving a peek of what makes you successful, and what brought you where you are. And I think that's the message that all our audience takes back, that what is it that they can pick up from it, that they can sort of apply and find the same success. So to everybody out there, all the best. Have a good weekend. And again, once again, Wasim, thank you so much.
And Jagdish, really, thank you so much. Privileged to be here, and it's always a pleasure having conversation with you. It's always, I don't know, like frequency matches very quickly, and I hope I've been able to like share something, and anything people wish to like have any more conversation. I love to give some. I would love to connect on LinkedIn. So thank you so much. And till the next time we meet on the golf course, Jagdish, appreciate it.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And thank you everyone for attending this. And thank you, Wasim. Bye bye. Have a great weekend.